So we were talking about David Copperfield and working with him and on his television specials. So tell us a little bit more about the challenges that you faced and what it was like working with him, and his particular way of doing things.
David is a great guy. He's a quirky guy, in his own. He's a great guy, but he's very particular. He's very, very careful, and he's very. He wants to make sure that what he does is represented in the best possible way. He's a perfectionist. He's a perfectionist himself at what he does, and that's why he's the best. He works 24/7. He's a workaholic, and so he expects the same thing from everybody. So when I first met with him and I first tried out, again, you always kind of try out these things, and so I went to the tryout for the China show, and he liked me, and we got along and everything. He liked what I did, so we hooked up, and I worked with him for the next 14 years, and he trusts you. Once he knows that what you do, and he knows that you know what you're doing, then he's got total trust in you. And so now the challenge is to give him and to make what he does look great on TV. And the challenges are many, not just for me on camera, for lighting, for everybody, for the magic people, for his group. We call them Magi, and they have their own challenges because of what they do. One thing is to do it on a stage, and the other thing is to do it for cameras, because the cameras see everything. You see. So the challenges were great, and so, but he gave us, the thing about David was that he gave you the opportunity to do your best work. And I think, I can't remember how many Emmys we got for these shows, but there were many. But they were great shows. And again, we were putting in 17, 18 hours a day, on these shows, and maybe, 12, 14 days to shoot, which is unheard of on television. That's you don't do that. You do that in film, you do that in the movies, but not in television. But he wanted to do it just right, and he didn't care how long it took or what it took to get it right. So that was great. It was a great challenge, but a great rewards with that show.
So he was very secretive about how he did the tricks. You said, he really never even let you guys in on how he did it. So how did he present it to you?
Well, what he did, what the process was kind of, the process that we did was he would bring us in, he would sit us down like we were an audience. He would do the illusion in front of us, and we would watch it, and we were always amazed because we never knew how he did this, In the process of doing it, he gave us minimum information as far as the trickery of it. I mean, the illusion part of the act. So, but of course, we have to know, because nobody levitates, in real life. So there has to be somehow that he does this. Nobody, there's a lot of things that we have to be careful for. So people at home, in those days, betas first came out, and the VHS came out, and people could, frame by frame, could look at these illusions, and they would do it, and they would send him mail, and then people would say, "Hey, I know how he did that." That was the challenge, So the challenge was to do it in such a way that you would never disclose or let anybody know how he did all these illusions.
So how did he handle it then? Once people did start taping things, what was his reaction to that, or what did he do to try to prevent people from?
He was again. It's just he went to any length. So when he watched it, when we used to do the show and we used to tape it, he would sit for whatever it took, hour, watching it back and forth with his group of guys that he had, watching it to make sure that not a cable, not anything, could show up.
Let's talk a little bit about In Living Color.
Mm-hmm.
You did that for a little while.
I did that for a little while, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what was it like working on a show at that particular show at that time? Because it was sort of groundbreaking comedy for the time. I mean, besides SNL, were there anything specific or particular for that show?
That show was a little more less as opposed to all the other situation comedies and stuff like that, comedy shows. That show was a little more winged, as we say, ad-libbed. The people, Jim Carrey and all these people that were there, he was great. Their whole thing was improvisation. So we kind of, Paul Miller, who directed the show, and we kind of zone, as opposed to now things like All in the Family, very scripted show. I have my shots, this, a close-up here, a close-up there, a head to toe, whatever it was. This show was kind of zone for the cameras because you never knew what they were going to do till they did it. And then that show was taped, so sometimes we'd do it 2 or 3 times, 4 times, depending on how they felt. So it was more ad-lib, and for us, it was kind of in a zone situation. Everybody kind of had their zones to see, what they were going to do. So it's a little more freelance, as far as cameras and everybody.
And more so, like something comparing it with the Carol Burnett show.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally different. Yeah, Carol Burnett show was very scripted, very, their stuff was very once it was set, it was set. They would do, like a Broadway play. There's no ad-libbing or anything like that. It was pretty much set. But Living Color wasn't like that because it was about a bunch of guys getting together. They had an idea, and then, okay, let's see what happens, and you never know what Jim Carrey was going to do. One minute he was a chicken, the next minute he was something else, a bird, this bird that he used to do and stuff, and you never know when that was going to come out, So, yeah.
Did they seem to change what they were doing based on the audience?
Yes. Based on... I don't know what it was. It was they changed every second. You never. It was totally what you did in rehearsal had nothing compared to to what we did during the live audience. And like I said, we did it 3 or 4 times. That doesn't mean that we did the same thing 3 or 4 times. They would do one version of it, then they would do it again, and something else would happen. Then they'd do it again, and something else would happen. See, so it was kind of improv all the way.
So you really had to be paying attention.
Oh yeah, you had to be paying attention all the time, because you never know. One minute he would run into the audience. Who knew, and do his chicken thing and whatever.
So how do you feel about that? I mean, do you prefer that freedom and that kind of improv where you don't know what's happening, or do you prefer the more scripted where you kind of know what you're doing going into it?
I don't think it's a matter of preference, I think it's a matter of you have to adapt to the to whatever the show demands. I think that as an operator, my job is there to capture whatever happens at the time, and whether it's scripted, very scripted, music, very musical, or ad-lib, like we did in Living Color. So. It has different. Every show has different requirements for the operators, and that's what Like I said, they separate. Some guys are good at doing one thing. Some guys are doing other things. Sports guys. They're living every second. They never know. So they have their own requirements that they need to pay attention to. Same with us. Same in variety. The scripted shows, for certain situations, a scripted show is great because you know exactly what you're going to do. For ad-lib shows, some people, wing and they ad-lib a lot. Let's say, like I worked on the MTV Awards. Okay, that's a young, new show that now is all run by young people, young kids and stuff, even the director and stuff, and they don't like to script anything. They like to capture their whole thing. Their whole philosophy is, let's capture the moment. Let's capture what's going on stage. So they don't give parameters to anybody, to whether it's a musical group or anybody. It just happens, and that's what they like. They like the be able to capture whatever happens at that instant, and you never know what's going to happen. So it's different situations,
But what qualities do you think that you need to have, or that you have, that you can adapt? Because you're someone who's done the scripted, but then you've also done, the variety, like you said, where you just kind of have to be on, and you have to. What qualities do you think that you need to have to be able to do both?
I just think that from my point of view, from an operator's point of view, I think that the ability to understand whatever is going on stage. You have to understand the whole get a look at the big picture, what it is that's happening, and then know your position, whatever position you're doing, and what is it that I can bring to this production from my point of view, and what I can do. I can't do what that other camera on that side does. I can only do what I can do on my position, so I'm going to maximize that and give the director and give everything that I can do to maximize my position and give them a good product.
Okay. So let's talk about the Kennedy Center Honors. Switch gears here a little bit. How long have you been doing that?
That 35
special?
Years. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And what goes into the preparations for a camera crew on a show like that?
Mm-hmm. When we do the Kennedy Center Honors, now that's a totally different show. The requirements there are totally different because you're dealing with a show that the president is there, all these dignitaries are there, and stuff. The camera placement for those shows are totally different. You don't find cameras running around doing all kinds of stuff as you would on, let's say, the Grammys or any of these other shows, or MTV Awards or anything like that. This is a more classical, almost like I think of it like an opera. Very everybody's in place, everybody sits. They don't even and for the Kennedy Center Arts, we don't even have a prompter. Not even a prompter is allowed. So so the people that go there to perform or to give the speeches or whatever, they don't have a prompter to look at. They have cards, very bullet points. So it's a whole different show. And again, you rehearse for a couple of days. Everything is in front of an audience. That's in front of an audience, in front of the president. And so the requirements there are a little different, because you don't have the kind of access to running around and doing all kinds of stuff for like a regular show.
Are the rehearsals for the crew always done with the talent, the performers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so everybody knows.
All the talent shows up on Thursday and Friday, Saturday, and we do the show on Sunday. Mm-hmm.
Are there a lot of changes made once it's been rehearsed with the performers?
Not really, no, because again, this is you don't have time to do. You never do anything over again. It runs from top to bottom, almost like a Broadway show. Nobody stops in the middle of a Broadway show and say, hey, you know what? Let me do this again. It just goes. If you make a mistake or anything happens, you continue on. Only one time that we had to ever do something like that. But again, the new generation, and we had, let me think of her name, singer, oh my God, Alma. She was married to a football, not married, so she was going out with a football player from Dallas. What's her name? Oh. Yeah, Jessica Simpson.
Oh, Jessica
We
Simpson.
had
Okay.
so at the Kennedy Center we had Jessica Simpson, and she comes in, and she doesn't know the song, and there's no, she comes out. She didn't want to come to rehearsal, so she didn't come to rehearsal. So now she comes out to do the show, and she doesn't know the song.
This is the live show.
This is the live show. We're for the president, for crying out loud. Oh my God. It was like the executive producer was fit to be tied, because it was like, what an embarrassment, I mean, everybody was embarrassed for her,
So she started to sing, and then
Nothing. And then she did the wrong words. She did everything. She was off key. She was that. It's terrible. What an embarrassment, yeah.
and so but you don't do that again.
We don't do it again, but they kept her afterwards and did the song with that after everybody had left. And that in 35 years, that's the only time that we ever done that, because it was so bad. Yeah, I mean the producers were ready to cut her off the show, but they did it.
So that's a very scripted show then, the way the director works on that.
Oh yeah, very scripted show.
And who are some of the directors that you've worked with on that?
On that show, I started working with that show with Dwight Hemian, an incredible director. Yeah. Then I went to Lou Horvitz, and let me see, has anybody done it? Anybody else? No. Don Mischer.
And are the
who actually
styles-
directed the Oscars last year.
Are the styles different on a show like that when you
Yeah,
get a different director?
a little bit, but not much, because the executive producer drives also what he wants to see. So he has set now the look for the show. He has set what we should do with the show, and so it doesn't change. The styles for the directors change a little bit, but not much.
Okay. Now, I know that you did Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve at one point. What are the logistical challenges of shooting a show like that? I mean, you're in Times Square.
Well, I didn't do that. I did he doesn't shoot that. The show is not shot at Times Square. The show is shot in a studio.
So you did the studio
The
portion
pre-tape.
of it.
I did the studio portion of the
The
thing.
pre-tape.
Yeah,
Okay.
And that's just a normal thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And did you work with Dick Clark?
Oh yeah, I worked with Dick Clark for many years. Yeah. He's a very interesting man, nice man, And been to his house. We used to have parties at his house, after the different shows and stuff. But I did American Music Awards for many years. I've done a lot of his shows, yeah.
What's he like as a producer?
Tough. He's a tough guy. He really stays on top. And we used to do American Music Awards. And his one thing that he's a pet peeve is that he wants to get off on time no matter what, okay? Most award shows, as you know, they always run over, whether it's 5 minutes or half hour, whatever it is, They're very difficult to bring in on time. But that was his thing. No matter what happened, he would go out in the audience if he had to and pull people. If you're talking and he needed to pull you, he would go out in the audience, excuse me, we're out of time. Instead of hearing the music, he would go out and pull you. He didn't care. He had this the one thing. It was so funny. Yeah, everybody used to laugh because that was his whole thing. Oh my God, are we going to get off? Oh, we're going to get off on time no matter what.
How about Barbra Streisand, the concert?
My God.
What was it like working with her? And in working with her, is she conscious of the cameras? And how does that work for her?
Yeah. Barbara, she was. I've done a few shows with her. We did the one at her house, over in Malibu. It was a benefit for the Democratic Party. One Voice, and a fantastic show. But she's a very, very demanding person, extremely demanding person. Okay, she's extremely aware of cameras. She's extremely aware of camera placements. She is very aware of everything: lighting, cameras, everything, sound. music, everything, But she's very good. She's very good at what she does. She's tough on herself also. She's a perfectionist, and so so she kind of expects that of everybody. So when you're working with her, you're better be at your best.
Mm-hmm. How do you handle that kind of thing when someone is so a performer, a talent, is so aware?
Yeah, it's difficult because a lot of times they're aware of it, but a lot of times they're not aware of what your process is to do certain things. I'll tell you a little story about Barbra Streisand at the Grammys, this past Grammys. Okay, she performed Evergreen, and she came in to rehearsals, big orchestra, the Staples Center. I was doing Steadicam, and the director Lou Horvitz said to me, he says, "Okay," he says, "I want you to." She was on stage with the orchestra. I was kind of on stage with her on a passerelle, on a area where people walked around, right, in the front. And he said to me, he says, "Okay," he says, "I want you to go over here on the left." Now, if you don't know, Barbara doesn't like to be shot from her right side. It's from her left side, right, at a certain height and stuff. So she's doing the rehearsal. I get up on stage, and I'm standing on her wrong side. Now, I know that, okay? And I'm thinking, okay. So she's singing. She doesn't know exactly what I'm doing, but I had a big wide shot, which doesn't, but she doesn't know that. So she's singing, and she looks at me, and she catches me. I knew that she was going to do that. She catches me at the corner of her eye, and she goes, "Ageless, and what are you doing over there?" And continues to sing, right? And stuff like that. So the director goes, "Get off the stage, get off the stage," and stuff like that. Now, later, after we finish the number, she has to see everything, of course, so she goes back to the truck, and they play back the piece, and the director Lou says to Barbara, says, "Look," he says, I want to show you something." He says, "I put that camera there because I wanted to have this beautiful wide shot, and I want him to make a move across and stuff, right?" So so I get up on stage with a stand-in. I get up on stage. I show her the shot. She goes, "Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Of course you can do that." You see. So a lot of times, they get nervous because they don't, they have certain requirements, certain things that they like and they don't like. But a lot of times, you have to kind of, show them that what you're doing, so they're okay with it, So we did the shot anyway.
So as far as the concert, and doing a concert type special, are there certain technical aspects of shooting something like that, because it's a concert and you're not stopping, and are there certain aspects of that are different from other shows that you do?
On a concert situation, or a show like the Grammys or something like that.
A concert.
Yeah, a concert situation is there's different things. One, you are living everything. You kind of, everything is kind of zoned out as far as cameras are concerned, because the performance is what it is, and it's 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours a concert. And so you're going, and so it's learning your position, learning where to be, to maximize your work, that you can give, to the director. And then in a concert situation, every camera is isolated, ISO. So that means that every camera is being recorded all at once, right? So every camera is being recorded so they can go back and edit the show. Now you have to be conscious about that, because when you script the show, or you do a zone, or you do stuff like that, that when that camera's on, then you're not on. So you have a little time to either adjust or do this or do whatever, something else, or repo to a different location or something. In a concert situation, you have to be aware of that. And you have to be aware that you're being recorded all the time. And when you're moving or when you're repoing, it might be the time when they need something. So you have to be really in tune with the performers and say, hey, you know what? This is a good time because the performance over there, they're not gonna be able to use me right here. So I'll repo to my next position, or I'll do this, or or whatever you need to do. So it's picking and choosing the times where you can repo and when you can do things without, ruining, your take, because you're being shot all the time. And like I said, if you move around all the time, they can't edit. Then they go back to the editing room and say, hey, what happened, man? You're moving all the time. What are you, you crazy here? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't use your stuff. And then may not get the next call.
Right. So you've done a lot of those types of concerts and things over the years. Do you have any that stand out besides working with Barbara? Are there any other ones?
Yeah, I did Paul Simon in Central Park. Fantastic show. I did Diana Ross at Central Park. Incredible show. I've done, let me see, we gone to, I did all the Elvis concerts. That was fantastic.
The Elvis concerts for television?
Mm-hmm. And he was a great guy. Yeah, I did a couple of a few of his. I did his last concert for television, and a couple of other ones before that. Mm-hmm.
So how involved do you get with performers like that? I mean, did you actually speak with Elvis about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, not about that. I just talked to him because I was in a situation where I needed to do something with him. So yeah, you talk to normally you don't, you wouldn't get involved with the performance because they, mm-hmm. They come in at the last second and they do their thing, but sometimes you have to, I became very good friends with Sting, not very good friends, as friends that you can get with all these people, with Sting, because I worked with him in several concerts and stuff, so we had to, work together, But so sometimes, yeah, you get to know them and you get to, you need to work with them to line up a shot or to do something and stuff. So, yeah.
What's it like having to do that with Elvis, though?
With Elvis? Oh,
yeah.
My God. Elvis was, I said to him, I said, hi, I said, I'm Hector Ramirez. I introduced myself to him. I said, Hector Ramirez, I need to, he goes, yeah, I'm Elvis. And it's like, I know. I mean, it's like, hello. Yeah, I'm Elvis, And so, nice guy, very nice
mm-hmm.
guy. I really, one of these guys that you look at and you kind of like him, even a man to man, you kind of, you say, wow, he's a very likable guy, He mm-hmm. was, yeah.
So you mentioned doing the Diana Ross in Central Park. Is mm-hmm. that the one with the thunderstorm?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you deal with that?
That was an incredible concert all around. Yeah, we were there, and as the show came in, a thunderstorm came up. Everything got washed away. I was one of the last cameras. I was on a Chapman crane, right on the stage, and everything. They had to turn everything off. We were in 2 feet of water. Right there with an area called Strawberry Fields in Central Park,
mm-hmm.
And you were in 2 feet of water. All the lighting, all the cables, all the power amps, and everything else. All electricity, shut everything down. I was one of the last cameras to keep them up. That stayed up. Yeah, but it was a fantastic concert. Yeah, she put on just because of everything. The weather. The people there, the night and everything, and Paul Simon was the same way. Paul Simon was a fantastic guy in Central Park. Same spot.
Mm-hmm. How difficult is that with crowd control and things like that?
Very difficult at times. Yeah, it's difficult because the crowds. Again, when you do concerts, the crowds are a big factor, and there's been times where. We have because of the crowds, we have managed now to put barriers. We never work without barriers because it has become an issue with the crowds. They're there to enjoy themselves, they're there to have fun, but they forget. So when the crowds start pushing forward and you're in a pit, with the crowds, you get caught in that. You can't work. You get trapped. So now we kind of make sure that we have barriers and stuff for us, so there's always a little barrier between the stage and the crowds.
Did you have an instance where that happened?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you remember which
Yeah,
one? Or-
at the US Festival here in California years ago. Yeah, we were working in the front, and they didn't have crowd control as far as the barriers and stuff, and we got pinned. It was a scary time because there was thousands of people pushing forward. So we had to get out.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the Super Bowl halftime show, because that's another crazy type of event.
The Super Bowl halftime shows are a kind of a what do you call it? A little thing all unto themselves. It's 7 minutes, maybe 11 minutes of intense work that happens so fast. You blink your eyes and it's over. And the logistics to that, as far as cameras are concerned and everything, it's quite extraordinary. We go in usually a week before to set up everything. Because of the game, we can never work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, usually the game. Well, the field can never be used, because they're painting it, they're doing it. They don't let you get on the field, I think, starting like Friday. So Thursday, Wednesday we go, we usually go in like a Monday, Tuesday to set up all the equipment, everything. Wednesday, we do some rehearsal on another location outside of the stadium. We do a rehearsal. Then on Thursday night is the first time that now we can get on the field, and for the first time we can see what we're going to do as far as the show on the field. And now we have to figure out we're going to bring all this equipment in. All this stuff happens in maybe 6 minutes. And when they go to commercial, then now we have to, have all the equipment ready. We have staging areas on the vomitoriums of the wherever we're doing it at the stadium, and everything is ready. Everything is lined up according to what we need, whether it's platforms, cranes, whatever it is that we need. Along with the stage, because the stage has to come in. So everything is organized on Thursday, and then we do. We put everything in. We do a rehearsal. Then we take everything out the way the stage managers and the field managers are now telling you, okay, this has got to go here, this has got to go here. They figure it out, what goes first, what goes last. And the same thing with us, where the crane's going to go in, because they'll have, jibs and cranes and whatever it is that we need to get. The wireless cameras, the steady cams and stuff. So everybody stage, on Thursday night. Then on Sunday, everything is staged while the game is going on, while the first half is going on. Everything gets staged, waiting for the halftime. So now everybody's ready to go. When that halftime ends, they blow the whistle. The halftime ends. We go to commercial. They blow a whistle, and it's pandemonium. I mean, it's unbelievable. I wish people could see it, because there's maybe 300-400 people pushing all the staging, all the, you see all these huge stages, and you go, how did they get that in there, and stuff. And you have 200 or 300 people getting in there, getting all the equipment, getting everything plugged in. Hopefully everything works, and then you go. You got 6 minutes to do this, and then boom, you're on the air. And then you're on the air for 11 minutes, boom, and you're off, and then you got to get off. You got to do the reverse. So it's an intense, 15 minutes there of work.
So there's not a lot of time to perfect it, really, because
No,
you
there's
only have till Thursday.
No. This is you just have one day to rehearse, one day to look at it, and you're on the air for boom, live.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember any mishaps or anything that went wrong?
Oh, many, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This and it's always something goes wrong, because it's just too, it's too difficult. There's so many things that can go wrong, and fortunately, 90% of the stuff goes. It's okay, goes well. But there are cameras that don't come up. You know, we had a jib that fell at one time because they mismeasure or something, and when they were coming out of the tunnel, the jib that is on the platform was too high, and everybody's pushing. So when they pushed it, the whole thing came over. You know, hit the top, and the whole thing came over. Well, it's too late. There's no time to pick it up. So you just boom, go without the jib. You know, go without that camera. There's cameras that don't come up. There is, you know, a staging that doesn't quite, you know, get in the same spot where we had it in rehearsal. So you have to you do the best you can, and then when we're on the air, you just kind of, you know, do the best you can to show it, you know, to get it right.
So on those shows, I know you do a lot of Steadicam work now, but on those types of shows, what kind of camera are you working?
I have done everything, you know. I have done everything, but most of it I do Steadicam, yeah.
You've also done a lot of Christmas specials in D.C., and what's your experience been like working at the White House and with the different presidents over the years, and talk a little bit about what that's meant to you?
Every year I do, I've been doing now for quite a while, Christmas in Washington. And also the Kennedy Center, because they're a week apart, so I usually get the two shows every year. And working again at the White House it's great at Christmas. It's beautiful, you know, it's decorated and all the decorations. But you have to go through the process again. There's a process. There's a protocol. You can only do certain things, go certain places, you know. But short periods of time. But working with the president, it's always exciting. You know, no matter, you know, I've been doing it now for so many years. I think 5 or 6 presidents. You know, like let me see. I think since the first George Bush. You know, so it's exciting. It's very good. Seeing all the dignitaries, seeing the president, seeing the families, and I'm right next door. I'm next. You know, when I do Christmas in Washington, I'm only 5 seats away from him. You know, so it's exciting.
Do you ever speak with the president?
No. I don't dare. But I did step on the vice president's foot once.
And I think there's another time. I don't know if it was Christmas in Washington, but you did have an interaction with Bill Clinton, I think.
Oh well, Bill. Oh yeah. President Clinton was a great guy, funny guy. He was kind of a down to earth type of guy. You know, he would see you, would talk to you, hey, you know, whatever. We did a Christmas special for the White House. It was something that they wanted to do as a present to the people, and they wanted to have to show the White House, to talk about the White House. So I spent 5 days with him at the White House, running around with him with a Steadicam and just being with him, you know. And unfortunately, I mean, they didn't want too many people, so I was the only guy, you know, with him, myself, and my assistant. So we ran around this whole house talking about, you know, we started at the first floor and we walked around to everywhere in the house. The thing was that the most interesting part was that we went to the second floor where the living quarters are, and then he said, "Hey, you want to go upstairs?" "Yes, sir." You know, you know, and so okay, so we'll go upstairs. So now we're into the third floor, and he had a music room. Okay, he had 2 or 3 saxes there because he would bring in guys once a week or a couple, you know, once in a while, and he would bring all these jazz guys to play with him. So they would sit in this room. I forgot I think it's a blue room upstairs on the 3rd floor, they call it, and to sit and play sax. So he played a little bit of sax. And I said, Mr. President, I said, you play the sax? And he goes, yeah. I go, oh, how about if you give us a few notes? And he goes, okay, you know. So that was very, very cool. He was very, very interesting, and I learned a lot about that. He's a very, very smart man. Oh my God, he knows everything. Everything was from his, you know, from memory, dates and stuff that he just, you know, like a book, you know. It was very interesting.
You also worked in 1976. You did some work in Monte Carlo, some shows that were put together by Prince Rainier. Can you talk about that experience and what that was like?
That was a great experience. It was probably one of the best times that I've had.
You were a newlywed.
Yes, I was a
at that time.
newlywed,
And you did not take your
and
wife.
I didn't take my wife. I'm sorry to say, but even though I haven't she won't let me forget that. But I did. I was there for 3 months, and I was working for Prince Rainier, a company called Peseta Productions and 20th Century Fox. It was a show, a little bit, a lot like the Ed Sullivan Show, but bigger. And the idea was that they were going to do a worldwide show, international show, with acts from all over the world. You know, again, like Ed Sullivan, you know, they had Bear Act, and then they had Cher, and then they had the Kaczynski brothers or something from you know, Wire Act, and then they had a French singer. So all these shows were done in Monte Carlo, and it was fantastic time. 3 times working there. We were working for Prince Rainier, so we had free reign. I mean, we had the go of all of Monte Carlo. And I got to meet Prince Albert, and we had a fantastic time.
And you were there for quite a while.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, 3 months, which is you know, it was a long time for any show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did 26 1-hour shows.
And how was that different over there? Is it at all different shooting?
Oh yeah, the equipment, French equipment, and stuff. The shooting for us was no different than any variety show. You know, again, we were in a place every show. You know, so we would do 3 shows a week. And so for us, shooting there was not any different than shooting here, as far as except we were working with French equipment, Marconi cameras, and a little different type of equipment. But you know, we got used to it.
So let's talk about some of the award shows. You've done many award shows throughout, you know, the years. What would you say are the key elements to shooting a live award show?
A live award show. Well, I've done the Oscars. I've done the Grammys for many years. Done the American Music Awards, the Daytime Emmys, you name it. You know, People's Choice. I got whatever award show there is. You know, I can. The thing about an award show that is a little different is because now you have stars and you have things that are involved. You have to know. So not only do you have to know the stars, but you have to know the relationships between the stars and people that might be important to the show. So if a star gets nominated, let's say at the Oscars, somebody wins for Natalie Portman wins for I think what was the name of
for Black Swan.
Black Swan. Well, who's the director? Okay, who is the? Because they're usually seated around the area. But you have to familiarize yourself because that happens so fast. So you not only have to know who you're getting, which they tell you ahead of time, you know. I got Natalie Portman, but now I need to know who's related to her as far as the movie's concerned, the director, the producer, the writer. So, you know, these are people that normally we don't know and stuff. So before the show, you prep for that. So before the show, as they're coming in, you have a little area, and you would go and I say, "Excuse me, are you so and so? Are you you're the writer for?" "Yes." "Okay, thank you very much." "Are you the director? Are you so because you know the
This
names."
This is on the day of the show.
Just before the show, before the show starts, and even sometimes during the show. You know, during the show, because they'll, you know, Natalie Portman wins. She goes up there. She says, "I'd like to thank the director. You know, hey, I'd like to thank my co-star." Boom. You know, the co-stars. You know, the stars are easy because we know them, we see them, but the writer. I mean, I don't know what the writer of Natalie Portman, I mean, of the movie The Black Swan looks like, you know. So now I have to find out who this man, where he's sitting, and what he looks like, whoever it is. So you kind of have to get an idea of the people around. So that's the difficult part of that, you know, that you have to kind of, because it happens, like I said, it happens fast. You're listening to the director, you're listening to the show. Natalie Portman's up there, and you're paying attention. And she'll say, I'd like to thank the director. Boom, you got him. You know, and then you'll call out 4, whatever your camera number is, and boom, they'll take it. See, so those things are not they're not prearranged, because it's hard to prearrange stuff like that. So you never know what they're gonna say or whatever.
Are you always in the same position on award shows or on one particular award show?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, most of the time, once you do a show and you have a position, then that's every year. That's why they like to. Once you do a show like that, and you're part of the crew, then you're gonna do this for as long as they like you. If you do a good job, you know. I mean, then you're gonna do the show for as long as you want, you know.
So what position are you in then on like the
on the
Academy
Oscars?
Awards?
At the Oscars, years ago, many years ago, I started doing handheld, but many years ago I started doing Steadicam. So I do that.
And has that been your favorite? Do you think, doing
The award
Steadicam?
show? I think my favorite award show is probably the Grammys.
Oh, doing the Grammys.
Yeah, only because of the music. You know, it's always fun. You know, it's a lot of work, but it's fun.
So how do the Grammys then differ from the Academy Awards?
Oh,
The way you shoot
two totally different shows. You not only have the award part, like the Oscars, you know, the people, everybody, but you also have now the music, like a variety show. So we're incorporating a show, you know, an award show, and we're incorporating a variety show. So you have to go from one to the other. You have to know your limitations as far as how fast it takes you to get from one area to another area. Because it happens again fast. You know, you might be on stage, or you might be doing something up there with a band, and then before you know it, the band finishes. They come out. They say, "Then, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, boom, boom, and here's the award show." So now you have to get ready for that, because that happens fast. And now you get into the award show. You have to be ready for all those boxes. You know, like they'll say, "Okay, so and so is nominated. So and so is nominated." You got to know that you're in the boxes and the effects. And then you know how to get it, how to frame it and stuff for the effects. See, so you have to so you need to pre-plan yourself, you know, for your position. They don't tell you that; they just expect you to do that. See, so when they hired us, when they hired me, when they hired the other operators, because we have the experience, because we have done it before, then they don't want to worry about that part of it. The director doesn't worry about that part of it. He's expecting you to know and to do what you need to do. And so that's why you do this year after year after year.
Are the Academy Awards much more scripted than the Grammys in terms of what the director wants, the shots the director wants?
No, it's actually no. The Academy Awards are a little more less scripted than, because of the director. The director that did the awards for many years. Again, you know, the same show with different directors would bring different challenges and different ways of doing it. When a guy like Jeff Margolis, who directed the awards, the Academy Awards, for many years, he was a very scripted guy. That means that he shot number everything, okay? Shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4. Everything goes in order. And then later on, a guy like Lou Horvitz, who took over for the show, he doesn't like to do that. He doesn't work that way. So he's more like a zone guy. So we zone everything, entrances and stuff, even though we know what we're going to do, but he's not as scripted. He's a little more loose than let's say Jeff when he scripted it. The Grammys, a guy with Walter Miller, who did it for 35 years and stuff, and I think you know Walter. He's very scripted, so he himself 1, 2, 3 again, very disciplined shows. Yeah.
So besides what you talked about with having to know where people are sitting and the writers, directors, producers, things like that, what else are you on the lookout for? Because obviously if a host comes up and maybe tells a joke or says something about someone that wasn't in rehearsal, those types of things.
Again, yeah, you're listening. I'm sorry. You're listening to the director, but you're also listening to the performer. Okay, so you split your hearing kind of thing, your concentration, into two things. So you have to listen to the director because he's giving you things to do, but you're also listening because anything can happen, and you're looking because anything can happen. We had times where people got up and ran up on stage, or a star. The Italian guy, I can't remember his name, where he jumped up on the seats and he started jumping all over the place. Who knew about that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you kind of listening in one ear to the director, listening to the other ear to what's going on, whoever's speaking on stage, and then you're looking to see what is happening in the audience, if anything. So so it's a concentration of different things that you have to pay attention to. So it's for 3-4 hours, whatever that show is, you totally have to be in the game. Otherwise, you're going to lose.
Yeah, which is very different than what you talked about before with like sitcoms, like on
Yes.
Family, where you really didn't want to listen to the dialogue because you could get lost in it.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Exactly. Yeah. In a sitcom, you're listening to the director, you concentrate on what you have to do. That's it. The dialogue is immaterial to you because it doesn't matter what they say. A two-shot is a two-shot, and whatever they say in the two-shot, who cares? So the dialogue in that situation is not important to us. But on an award show, the dialogue that's happening on stage is important because that's how you react to everything.
Do you have any favorite memories or moments from doing the Academy Awards that you can share or that you remember?
Wow. Probably the one I just said about the guy jumping up. Probably a time where I've done it for so long, and there've been so many, but I don't have any particular, things like that except that time, yeah.
So then let's shift gears now and go back to the Grammys. We talked about that a little bit. So it's kind of edgier, than the Academy Awards. So how is that reflected in how it's shot, how the Grammys are shot? It being a little edgier, a little more cutting edge.
Yeah. Again, with Walter, it was less edgier than with Lou. Lou brings a certain edge to the show because that's what they like. That's what the producers like. They like the fast cutting. They like the last moment things, and so they like that. With Walter, it's a little more disciplined show, which actually it became very difficult with the new acts like rappers. Excuse me. With Walter Miller, the Grammys became very, very a little bit difficult in the later. Excuse me.
It's all right. Okay, so we were talking about the Grammys and how they're a little bit different.
The Grammys with Walter Miller are a little more disciplined as far as how we shoot. They're more, they're more scripted. They're all scripted. But scripting things are dependent upon how the acts are going to do things. So if you have an act that is not so disciplined, scripting could be a problem. And so in the later years, that Walter did the show, it became a bit of a problem because the young acts now, then they're depending upon, they react to the audience also. They're very audience dependent. So a rapper comes out, he's not going to stand behind a mic. You see, he's going to run around all over the place. If the audience is going, he's going or she's going. So what happens is when you script a show like that, and let's say that you script a close-up at a certain time, well, the rapper's not going to be there for that close-up for you. So now the rapper could be on the other side of the stage. Now, how do I get that close-up? See? So now that becomes very difficult. You see? So now you have to kind of ad-lib a little bit on your end, because the show is actually going anyway, and the shots are going. So you kind of have to ad-lib and make the best of it. So in that situation, the edginess of the new music has now it's easier to do it with the kind of ad-libbing kind of things that you do with directors that do that kind of ad-libbing stuff, as opposed to directors that are really scripted.
And you mentioned earlier about the MTV, the Music Awards and the Video Awards, and how, that doing that, directors didn't want to script things.
Right.
So how did that influence, do you think, other award shows?
It has influenced everything, actually. MTV has influenced the way we watch TV today, really. To the point where MTV, when we started doing the movie awards, the video awards, they wanted to replicate what they did with the videos. And when music videos started happening, they started making music videos. The beauty about the music videos, what they're fast cutting, they're split-second flash cuts on a video. I mean, if you watch a video, there's probably nothing less than a second at any one time. All these flash cuts, all these fast-moving things and stuff. To enhance the music, to make it exciting for the kids, today and stuff. So when they started, they wanted to maintain that kind of look of the videos. They wanted to match the videos. So scripting a show was not the ideal thing to do, because it's too hard to do that. So instead, the music and the directors, the young directors, Beth McCarthy, who I started working with from the very beginning, Joel Gallen, who was the producer, they wanted to just catch the moment. So now you have to you're working all the time. With scripted shows, you know what you're doing. With this kind of a show like MTV, you never know what you're doing. So you have to really pay attention. You have to be totally concentrated, know what you're doing, look for that moment, look for that great moment to give a great shot, to put up the shot, to give the great shot, and the director will get it. So they're depending on you to feed them. And so the director, it's depending on you totally to give them the shots, as opposed to the director telling you what shots to give.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get right back to it.
Okay.
Thank you.